Hello and welcome to the Surpass Community Weekly Update. It's the 7th of May. My name's Tim Burnett. In this week's update, we have information regarding a pre-release webinar, which is coming on the 3rd of June. We have a Surpass Roadmap update, and we'll be chatting with Jen about that. We've got information from our item banking workshop that happened this week. And we have a bit of a community update from Jeff and Brian regarding the Beyond Multiple Choice event that was a couple of weeks ago. Plus, we have community news, jobs, events, and further information. So I'll see you all briefly. So my name's Tim Burnett. It's the 7th of May. I hope you're all well. This is the Surpass Community Weekly Update. Just a really very brief message really to everyone who has friends or family or partners out in India. I hope everything's okay. We send you all our best wishes to you really, just to ensure that everything is as best as it can be really. I know it's a bit of a grim situation, so all our love and thoughts are going out to you there. So just continuing with our update then, we have just a reminder regarding the Surpass conference, which is the 4th to the 8th of October. It's going to be a virtual event. Plan is to run it over 3 days and ideally have some kind of local hub events if conditions allow. So if you want more information, you want to register for that, then go to conference.surpass.com. Other information and news then, we have got the pre-release webinar. So as we put a release out with Surpass, we have one coming in early summer. So on the 3rd of June, we're planning on running a webinar where the guys will take you through the latest features that are in that. So please do make sure you get yourself registered for that. I'll share the details in a second. Plus also, we are planning on having a webinar on the use of assessment for healthcare and awarding and certification bodies. We're planning to have a full range of speakers as part of this webinar. The date is set currently for the 8th of June. That might change just slightly, but if you go to surpass.com/signup, then you'll receive a calendar update that we will update and change if the date does move. And obviously, you'll be able to receive the recording if you weren't able to attend. So make sure you do check that out. Next, then, is Surpass Roadmap update. So I got together with Jen Warhurst from the accounts team just to find out a bit more information about what's been going on in her planning for the roadmap. So here's my chat with Jen earlier this week. Hi Jen, how you doing?
Hi Tim, good thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. Thank you for joining me today. Now we're going to talk about roadmaps. You've been doing some work on roadmaps for customers to understand what's happening as a kind of year-long view. So what are the 3 roadmaps that you've been working on?
So I have been working on 3 roadmaps for the Flash to HTML program of work that I project manage. So the first one we have just released, so that has kind of been sent out through account managers a couple of weeks ago, and that is the customer migration roadmap. So that includes lots of features like item types being converted to HTML, annotations being available, end of test feedback, some of those features that we have available in Flash at the minute and aren't available in the HTML driver or in HTML subjects just yet. So it's all of the kind of timelines and giving people an idea of when those will be available and when we are planning on developing them in HTML.
And I suppose that's important because we've put the viewer application out there. People can continue delivering their Flash items and deliver their Flash tests, can't they? But yeah, there's still that legacy issue of items, which some are still Flash. Obviously, we've got a lot of HTML-based activities, but it's just helping people make that final step, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So these are things that people kind of need to have in place so that we can start to move away from Flash and start delivering exams in HTML. It then means that if people want to deliver in web delivery, that's obviously much easier in HTML. You can just use a mainstream browser. If you want to use Secure Client, you can still continue doing that, whether it's delivered in Flash or HTML. But it just makes a lot of the end-to-end processes easier for people, and it means that we can be a bit more flexible in our use of tests and how we deliver things.
Perfect, excellent. So tell me about the other 2 roadmaps then. What are the other 2 you've been working on?
So the other two are still under construction. And we did kind of mention that to customers in our email about the one that we have done. So the two that we're working on are the remaining features and screens that we need to convert for test administration.
Yeah.
So far we have converted Mark, Invigilate, Results, and Schedule. There's still a couple of features that we want to finish off in Schedule, Results, and Invigilate, but one or two, there's not that much left in there that needs to be changed. We then still have Remark, Moderate, and Audit, and we are currently having a look at how we split those screens up, where we can add the best value. Is it by doing half of Remark and doing kind of half of the functionality in there, and then we'll start doing half the functionality in Moderate and then go back and finish Remark later? Because we work in agile development, we kind of want to look at the best way that we can deliver value to customers, and sometimes that will be by making a subset of functions available in one of the screens and then moving on to make a subset of features available in another screen, because there are fewer functions that are used by all customers. So it's just trying to make sure that we have a nice balance in how we prioritize that. So we're still working on the priority of test admin at the minute, but we are hoping that by the start of the next release, 12.28, that we should have a roadmap available, so that we can share that and people understand when screens will be coming available in HTML.
Perfect. And Content Producer, I believe, is the last of the roadmaps that you're working on. Yeah. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah. So Content Producer is one of our legacy products from R11, as we call it, Release 11 of Surpass, when the product was kind of more modular. So what was the equivalent of item authoring is Content Producer, which was its own product. And there are so many different things that you can do in Content Producer. It's basically like having a blank page. You can stick a bit of stuff here, some stuff there. You can go crazy. So because we have made that tool available to some of our older customers, and they were used to the different things that you can do in Content Producer,
it's quite embedded in their process, wasn't it? It was quite
absolutely. We now kind of need to take some of those features and functionalities from that old product and make sure that they're available and supported, not only in R12, but that they're there in HTML in R12. So there's some work going on to understand how we solve that problem at the minute. And we have there's kind of some work and a development team working on that at the minute. But then there's a few other things that we know that we still need to look at after we've kind of completed that. But there will be a roadmap coming out soon that just gives an overview of certainly the next few things that we've got planned for it.
Perfect. And how is all this going to be connected to the release cycle? Because obviously we've got 12.26 is coming soon, isn't it? And there's a webinar on the 3rd of June planned for that. But so how's it connected?
So what we are aiming on doing is that with each release we have, at the start of that we do what's called release planning. So all of the developers and the supporting resources, so our product owners, technical architects, design, solutions architects, we get everyone all together and have a meeting and say, here are the things that we want to achieve in this release. Here are the features we want to look at. Can you go away and plan them and then tell us which of those you think are going to fit in, and are some bigger than we initially thought, are some going to be smaller, and that kind of gives us a better view of what will happen in each release. So because of the way we do that planning, I will then, once we've finished that and kind of got that outline and said this is what we think we'll achieve in this release, I will then update the roadmap with that information. Potentially that will have an impact on a couple of the other releases following. But that will mean that the that we're regularly refreshing that information. It also means that I will add another release onto the end, so that we're always giving roughly a year view of the development that's coming up, so that we're kind of making sure the information that we have, we're giving to our customers, so that they're as up to date as possible as they can be, knowing that we plan to different horizon planning timelines. So the information we have on the features that are closest to us and going to happen more soon, that are going to happen sooner, that we have better information on them, and we're kind of more confident in those features than we are the ones that are a bit further away and further out.
Yeah, no, that's fine, because you spend more time and detail on the ones that are closer, don't you?
Exactly. So the ones that are closer will always have been more refined.
Yeah, and it's a nice way, isn't it? Because otherwise, if you just did a snapshot in time, this is what a year is going to be like. Yeah, as we know, a lot could change in a year, very much so. So yeah, it needs to be constantly considered, doesn't it? Well, that sounds all brilliant. How can people get a hold of this? How can Surpass community members find this information?
So if you haven't already got it, send your account manager an email or give them a call and ask them to send it over to you, and they will be able to share the roadmap with you.
Perfect. And also reach out to me as well if you're not too sure, and I'll try and help you. Well, thank you very much, Jen. Much appreciated. And take care, and I hope you're safe and well, and I'll speak to you soon.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me, Tim.
Cheers, Jen.
Bye.
See you later. Bye. Thanks for that, Jen. So a lot of information there for Surpass community members to digest. Obviously, reach out to your account manager if you want more detail. So this week we did a workshop looking at item banking. We had quite a big audience come along, and we broke off into 3 groups. And I'm just going to share with you one of the clips from the questions that were responded on as part of the warm-up and the preparation as part of the event itself. There was a lot of detail on it, and there was one particular group where there was so much detail that we only really scratched the surface. So I think we'll definitely be unpacking that further and breaking it down into further segments. But here's Chris's bit, just talking about integrity and publishing.
Hi, I'm Chris Morrison. I'm the Vice President of Product Management at Surpass. And today, as part of the workshop, we're going to be covering several topics, and please join us if they're of interest to you. Firstly, we're going to be looking at virtual working guidance. So the recent impact of COVID-19 has meant that we've had to change a lot of the practices that we had previously. So a lot of in-person processes or events are now being done virtually. And even beyond the other side of COVID, it looks like a lot of that is set to stay. And we've learned a lot from adapting. And many of the things that we do, for example, item writing, item review, standard setting, we found different ways to do those, and we'd like to discuss, what we've learned and how we can use technology to leverage our ongoing processes. Recently at ATP, I hosted a discussion with Amanda Danis where we covered standard setting in particular and how technology can actually support the remote or virtual kind of operation of those activities. There's some compelling discussion, and there's a handout available as well, which you will have just seen on screen that we can share. In particular, where virtual sessions kind of perhaps give opportunity for less security of the items, we had some thoughts and think there are opportunities around even online proctoring of those events to try and make sure that the items and their integrity are kept as tight as possible. So next, we're going to also cover instant item editing and publishing. Now, if you use Surpass in its entirety, so from authoring to delivery, then you'll be able to take advantage of the instant nature of the publishing of items. So if you recognize that you want to make a change to an item that's in a test, you can make that in item authoring, save those changes, and it will instantly publish through and will be available the next time you schedule that test. There are some things you should bear in mind, like whether the test has already been downloaded to take a center in advance. So just be sensitive to the timing of any changes that you need to make. Next, we're going to also cover the publishing of items and tests to third-party systems. Now, we appreciate that not everybody uses Surpass for delivery of the high-stakes tests, that there may be another provider that we need to get those tests and items to. And Surpass supports this. So if you just use Surpass for item authoring, then you can still export those items or your tests out through a variety of formats that other suppliers can then ingest. So that can range from a spreadsheet or getting a whole kind of pool book out as a Microsoft Word document. And also we do more sophisticated support, for example, providing ready-made packages of tests and items that can just be loaded into a third-party suppliers' test network to be delivered as part of a wider ecosystem. Now, in particular, we've had a few questions to kick us off, so I can cover those and some answers to those right now. So the first one is, how am I able to ensure exam integrity in a virtual environment? And one of the key things that I can say in response to this is ensuring that your items are kept in a very controlled state. So you are aware of who has access to them. You can control that very tightly. The audit of any changes made to those items and who has viewed them is all tracked. So as part of Surpass, you can do that, and you can restrict access for people doing reviews or writing or standard setting only to the subset of items that they should have access to. So your bank is never fully opened up to anybody that shouldn't have that access. Next question that we had was about the technical reliability of embedded images and video. Now, all images and video are stored in the media library of Surpass. We can upload high-resolution media files, and so they're rendered out, in the state in which you upload them. In particular, what you should bear in mind, however, I would suggest is the way that the test is going to be delivered. So you should bear in mind the environment, like the technology and the bandwidth of the centres where the tests are going to be delivered, or if it's going to be taken at home through online proctoring, be sympathetic to the candidates and the technology that they'll be using, since it'll possibly be their own machines. Just bear that in mind when considering what media you should be adding. And then lastly, we had a question about working with items for offline sort of review. So if SMEs need to have a version of each of these items, and they don't want to have to worry as we move more and more, possibly in future, to in-person events of some sort, we become dependent again on hotel internet connection, dodgy Wi-Fi and so on. So if that's something that you want to have a backup plan to get around, or make it the primary way of reviewing those items, you can get them out through a few different means to have an offline copy. So that'd be a Word document, a Excel file, and yeah, we can discuss further as well any more helpful formats for getting those out. Okay, well, join us, and we'll look forward to discussing these topics after this. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Chris. Sam very kindly wrote up some notes from the event itself, so you can check those out if you go to surpass.com/news. Like I say, hopefully we'll be running another one of those workshops with some more focused items as part of it. So finally today, just in terms of the updates, I caught up with Jeff and Brian regarding the Beyond Multiple Choice conference, event that ran a few weeks ago. They do run a conference later on in November, but this is a kind of almost an early summer warm-up to that particular event. So here's my chat with Brian and Jeff. Jeff and Brian, welcome. Great to see you.
Pleasure to meet you, Tim. Pleasure, thank you.
Fantastic. Now I hear you had an absolutely fantastic conference, a fantastic event, really, wasn't it? It was a one-day webinar. Jeff, do you want to just tell us a bit more about the audience and the breadth?
Yes, I think one of the big takeaways for me was just the breadth of the audience we managed to reach in the course of the day. We had something like about 800 plus delegates registered. We had well in excess of 400, almost 500 people viewed during the course of the day. But what's really exciting, I think, was that literally covered the globe. We had people from New Zealand, Australia, the Philippines, China, all the way traveling, following the rise of the sun across the globe. And not only did we have the geographical spread, we had the sectorial spread as well. So we had people who were interested in K-12 and the schools market, and indeed preschools in a couple of cases. We had university and college, we had the workplace, we had organisations from the third sector, from charities and agencies, we had government and and government agencies and bodies. So it was really exciting to get such a broad spectrum of interest and to see that there are shared issues and shared values and shared ideas out there, and that we can learn from each other and pick up ideas and ways to move forward.
That's fantastic. So a really well attended event then, really.
Yeah,
Brian,
absolutely.
in terms of the context and the kind of themes of the discussions, what was explored?
Yeah, whereas our 3-day events in November have really focused on technology, formats, new ways to do assessment that go beyond multiple choice, this was a nice opportunity to sort of step back and put those kinds of ideas and trends into a broader context in the assessment landscape. So we talked about issues of inclusion and fairness, and then led into some ways that technology solutions are trying to address the ongoing challenges, especially in the context of the past year, but really the broader trends within assessment generally, like inclusion, like fairness, like accessibility. So it was a nice opportunity to put these core ideas of how do we go beyond multiple choice into that broader assessment landscape.
Brilliant. And as we kind of look now towards the actual conference itself in November, Jeff, is there something that you've taken away from this event that you think we'll see more of on that journey?
Yes, I think the whole agenda around equity and fairness within the systems and inclusion within the systems will play a larger and larger role. We don't work in assessment, I think, in a vacuum, do we? We work in a bigger social milieu, to use the expression. And I think we'll see influences of the need for equality across gender, across races, across social divides, everything from the digital divide through to the requirements to see a more balanced set of faces on conferences and events like ours. So I think that's a big subject. I think that's grown. I think in the past, there's been an enormous amount of work, and you know, Tim, the BTL Surpass Community will know well the sort of stuff that you've been doing. But I think that will grow now. I think we'll become much more aware, and we will become much more responsive as a profession, as an industry, as a community.
Yeah. There's certainly a huge momentum and a huge wave, and it's only going in one direction, isn't it? With that.
Absolutely.
What about yourself, Brian? In terms of things that stood out to you, what do you see kind of panning out over the next few months?
Right. So, come from the U.S., the topic of college readiness has been really a hot topic lately. And if you think about that as sort of a one point in time, one chance to sort of assess students, it really has relied a lot on multiple choice because it's it's an efficient way to capture assessment across a large group of people. We saw some hints in our April seminar with regard to using things like performance tasks to assess college readiness. So I think that's going to continue to be a question of interest, particularly as we think about different ways to evaluate, different ways to assess, different techniques and formats, and how those scale. All those kinds of questions are really coming to head around this issue of college readiness. So that's likely to be a continuing conversation.
Fantastic. Are the recordings going to be available from the event? Because I know some people were unable to attend.
Yeah, we'll have the recordings up soon. We'll have most of the presentations available. And of course, we have our special issue. We're taking some of the content from the April seminar also for the Beyond Multiple Choice special issue in eLearn magazine. That'll be available over the summer.
Excellent. I'll share the URL for people so that they know where to go for that. And what are the dates of the November event? Do you have those to hand?
Yep, November 3 through 5. We'll be sending out our call for presentations soon, as well as sponsorship opportunities. So the last one's in the bag, and we're getting ready to set up the next one.
Fantastic. And I'm looking forward to Surpass being represented at your amazing event. So well done. Thank you for putting on such an excellent event and leading this conversation in the community. We really appreciate it. So
thank you for the opportunity today.
That's fine. Well, thank you very much, and take care, both of you, and we'll speak soon.
Yep. Bye. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Brian and Jeff. That was excellent. So just a reminder of other things that are going on to the International E-Assessment Conference and Awards. The award finalists have been announced. The winners will be announced on the 8th, 15th, 22nd, 29th of June as part of a series of events. So please do check that out. If you want to register, go to e-assessment.com/conference. Then there's also the European Association of Test Publishers. The call for papers is now open as well, and the deadline for that is the 1st of June. I've been told that is the deadline, so there'll probably be no movement on that one. So make sure you get yourselves submitted for that amazing event. The event itself will take place on the 27th to the 29th of September. If you want any more information about these, then please go to surpass.com/events. Finally, just some more community events information. I'll just add this to the stream. So we've got Proctor Exam. They run an event and they've been having some communications following that. So please do check that out. It's worth checking out Daniel's team's work. Some great stuff there. ITCC, I've got a presentation coming up as part of their meeting on May the 12th. Alpha Plus very kindly been sharing out some case studies in relation to the work that they've been doing, medical certification and training related certification. So please do check those out. And finally, I just thought this was a great idea. Chris from CPA Canada shared out a message that he'd received a gardening bag as part of their kind of promo and support for their team. So that's a lovely idea, get people out and about. So thank you very much. I hope you're all safe and well, and I'll speak to you next week. Play my little video now.
The technology and services behind Surpass power the testing of many of the world's highest profile qualifications. Unique technology enables collaborative item authoring in banking, comprehensive test assembly, secure test delivery, and efficient grading and feedback of high-stakes paper, tablet, and computer-based testing, including automated one-click reporting solutions to assist you with item analysis. We can provide access to SME management services and trusted psychometricians, and our test delivery services team can help you get started with online proctoring or finding remote test centers. Or if you prefer, the advanced integration options and raw data extraction options in Surpass give you the freedom to choose your own external service providers. Trusted by international test publishers, certification, and awarding bodies, the Surpass platform is a globally hosted SaaS service with integration at its core. It is used to deliver millions of secure examinations every year in over 100 countries. In addition to a full range of standard question types, Surpass item authoring includes many innovative features which expand your testing capabilities, such as the spreadsheet question type, diagram creator tool, and the award-winning high-fidelity image viewer. When you use Surpass, you do so as part of a community of like-minded organizations. We constantly reinvest in the development of the Surpass platform with guidance and collaboration from Surpass community members. So what else sets us apart from the competition? We provide multi-device delivery support from one platform. This is essential for making the most of the many testing scenarios and opportunities in this global market. We stand by our customers by providing excellent service and support, and above all, we are committed to continuously developing innovative features, helping the Surpass community lead the industry. We're confident that with Surpass powering your assessment, we can improve the examination experience for everyone. Get in touch with a member of the team today and discover how your assessment program could be powered by Surpass.